The movie begins with a man taking a picture of 3 people. While getting ready for the shot, he notices something strange underneath Chris's feet. Alicia thinks that the man needs help on how to use the camera, but he shouts loudly at her not to move. Daniel looks down and sees that Chris is standing on something. He quickly gets down and removes the dirt from around his foot, and that's when they all realize that he is standing on a mine. Alicia begins crying hysterically and can't believe what is going on. Meanwhile, the photographer, afraid for his life, runs away down the hill. Chris is visibly worried and tries not to move. Daniel goes with Alicia to the top of the hill where he can get a signal and tries to make a call for help. Strangely, he then goes back towards Chris with an angry expression on his face. That's when he reveals to him that it was actually him who placed the mine there. Chris is very confused, and when Alicia comes down to join them, Daniel tells them that he knows that they both slept together. Chris was his best friend while Alicia is engaged to get married to him. He can't believe that they would go behind his back and do this to him. In a fit of rage, he thought of a plan and lured both of them there to take revenge. Alicia begs for Daniel's forgiveness, but he tells her it is too late. He doesn't listen to her explanation and instead walks towards a tree and picks up a spade. He tells them that after Chris dies, his plan was to bury him in the forest. Chris thinks that the mine is a fake, as Daniel was standing next to him earlier when they were about to take a photo. Why would he stand so close to him if it was real? Daniel then removes the safety cable, showing them that the mine is actually real. If Chris stepped off the mine now, he would be blown to pieces. Alicia grabs Daniel and hugs him and tries to talk to him. But he doesn't want to listen and gets very angry. He tells them both he thought he could trust them and wanted to spend his whole life with Alicia. He then throws the safety cable away and walks off. Later, we see Daniel meeting up with the photographer who he organized and directed to make Chris stand on the mine while pretending to take a photo. Alicia stays behind and manages to find the safety cable and tries her hardest to put it back in the mine. No matter how hard she tries, she is unable to do so. She then decides to pick up a spade and starts digging a hole. Meanwhile, a hunter going past with his dog sees all the commotion and goes to have a look. Alicia tries to keep the dog away from Chris, but then the hunter arrives with his gun and orders Chris to turn around. When he tells him that he can't, the hunter shoots towards his feet. Finally, he believes them and he goes and takes a closer look at the mine. The hunter then picks up a stone and throws it towards Chris's feet. Both him and Alicia get angry but are unable to do anything. The psycho tells them he just wanted to make sure that they were telling him the truth. He lives around the area and was not aware of mines. He then asks them what happened and how they found themselves in this situation. If they didn't tell him the truth, he would not help them. Alicia tells him what happened and the hunter tells them he will help on one condition. He knows that they are in a vulnerable situation and tries taking advantage. He tells them that he wants the clothes that she is wearing and grabs a hold of her. Chris tries to give him some money, but the man is not interested in that. Eventually, Alicia has no choice and does what he asks. The hunter starts helping them, but then suddenly, the radio in his bag goes off. Alicia hears this and runs over asking if she could borrow it to ask for help. Again, the hunter plays with her emotions and tells her that she can, but only one condition. He then throws the clothes she gave him on the floor and tells her to crawl and get it. Alicia gets angry and just picks it up, but again the man insists that she crawls and gets it. The man is not satisfied with her and makes her crawl and pick it up with her mouth. The hunter finally hands over the radio, but to Alicia's astonishment, the person on the other side did not speak English. As she is desperate, she has no choice but to ask him for his help again. The hunter tells her he would be prepared to translate for her based on one condition: she had to start removing items of her clothing. At first Alicia said no, but she soon realizes that it was her only way of getting out of the situation. So she started doing as he asked as the man translates for her. Unknown to both of them, the hunter was lying to them. He was not translating everything Alicia was telling him to do. Soon she only has her underwear on and finishes asking for help. She tells the hunter that he can leave now, and we see him picking up his belongings and leaving. As he is walking away, his radio goes off again and the shameless hunter approaches Alicia and asks her if she wants to know what was said. Again he tells her that she will have to remove an item of clothing. At this point, Chris gets angry and starts cursing at him. The hunter points his gun towards him and tells him to watch his mouth. Suddenly Alicia sees her chance and makes a run for it. We then see the hunter releasing his dog and he chases her down the mountain. The man picks up a rope and quickly follows. Next, we see Chris bending down, slowly picking up the safety cable. He then ties it around his belt and manages to pick up the hunter's gun. We then see the hunter returning with Alicia under his arm. He becomes more aggressive and warns Chris to put the gun down. Chris freezes and is unable to do anything. We see the hunter take Alicia behind the trees. Chris raises the gun, and just as he is about to take a shot, the hunter's dog comes charging towards Chris and knocks him over. The gun goes off, and unfortunately, instead of hitting the hunter, it catches Alicia. Astonishingly, somehow the mine does not go off when Chris is knocked to the floor. When Chris finally wakes up, he finds that the hunter has left with his dog. He finds Alicia lying in a ditch and holds her body while crying unconsolably. A few weeks later, we see Chris arriving at a house where he asks the woman there for assistance. The woman kindly lets him in to explain. Suddenly, we see a man coming into the house, and that's when it is revealed to be the hunter's house. The hunter cannot believe what he is seeing and goes into shock. He manages to make up an excuse and get Chris out of the house. He warns Chris to stay away. When the hunter gets back home, he releases his dog and it chases after Chris. Next, the hunter hears the dog outside and rushes out and finds blood all over the floor. Back inside the house, we see Chris taking in the dog, where he explains that it was hit by a passing car. When the hunter arrives back, he quickly picks up his gun and points it at him. Chris cleverly has already taken out the bullets and shoots the hunter in the leg. He then tells the mother and daughter to take him inside. We then see Chris order the daughter to tie up her mother. The hunter breaks down and begs Chris to stop. He tells him that he was drunk and not in his right mind when he attacked Alicia. Chris then takes a bottle of wine and takes a swing. He makes the mother and daughter have some too and spills some over the hunter's lap. He then makes the daughter remove her clothes and crawl on the floor and pick it up, just like the hunter did to Alicia. He then puts the scarf in the hunter's mouth and plays mind games with the family. The mother and daughter are scared for their lives, but Chris is out for full revenge. We see him put a bullet into the gun and tells his daughter she will remove an item of clothing every time the gun is fired and there is no bullet. The hunter falls to the floor and begs for forgiveness, but Chris is just getting started. When Chris fires the gun for the third time, it goes off, finishing off the daughter. He then slumps to the floor in shock by what he has done. Chris just sits there looking at the dead body curled up in the corner. He finally got revenge and the movie ends there. You guys are awesome if you have made it this far in the video. If you want to see more of such movie recaps, hit the subscribe button to become part of our movie family.